He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Hi, this is comedian and depressed alcoholic James Nokise, and you're listening to Eating Fried Chicken in the Shower, a podcast about headspace and happiness from my safe space, the shower, with fried chicken. This episode, I'm talking to comedian, actor, and international agent of chaos, David Correos. We'll talk about the joys of friends.
They ran a trolley, full speed, ran it into the gutter, and it flipped and just slammed me right in the face. They said to me, do this and we'll be your friend.
The joys of festivals.
No one was really laughing, and I stopped halfway through the show and I went, this isn't me. Why am I doing this? I'm so sorry.
And the joys of growing up in New Zealand.
Dude, the first time I got called the N-word, I was 7 years old.
Yo, what? Some of this will get a bit real. The language, the subjects. So make sure you're in a safe space with your comfort food. And join us eating fried chicken in the shower. Hi, and welcome to Eating Fried Chicken in the Shower. I'm James Nokise, and with me today is David Correos.
Hi.
Have I said your last name right?
Yeah.
It's good. Are you sure?
Yeah, that's right.
Because your name's like my last name. It's got a bit of magic to it.
Yeah. You got to add like the Filipino-ness to it.
Yeah.
Correos. I said it wrong for like the longest time.
Yeah.
But then one of my friends, James Nokise, he was like, yo, you got to say your last name how you're supposed to say it.
Roke's been in the shower too.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, man, he came in, had some chicken. You know that I always get the boys to come in. What are you doing today? Yo, come, tell me about your last name and bring some chicken. It was the same. I'd said, I think I grew up because I had slightly British accent from mum. So I was going to go, hello, what's your name? James, what's your last name? Nokise. Or there's someone's going, oh, it's so cute. Nokise. That's not how you say it, but it's good.
Yeah, because I had one teacher because it's that whole thing of like, when Filipinos say a word compared to when like a Kiwi says a word, it's like, okay, how do you put the Kiwi twist on a Filipino word?
Yeah.
And then one day, one of my teachers very confidently said my name is Correos, and I was like, that's it. Yeah. That's the one that white people can say. I'm a force that one for everyone to say. And then, after seeing James's post, I was like, no, say it how it's supposed to be said.
Yeah. I tend to let people get away with the vowels in the right order.
Yeah?
Like, if you can go N-O-K-I and S-E and get all three of those, like, in vowel order, we'll give your accent. We'll say that's the excuse for your mispronunciation.
Yeah, nice.
You know? Because I've had Nokose, Noski, Nokia, Nikose. It's like, and it's only if I say it to them, I don't know if it's the same for your last name, if I say my last name to them, they're fine.
Yeah.
If I write it down, oh man, it's like I've cast a spell.
My dad doesn't respect English.
Solidarity.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like my dad goes, hey, let's go to the Norman Harvey. And I'm like, Papa, if you're not even doing this, I don't know why.
My dad is like, my dad has a PhD, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he gives international conferences.
Yeah.
But he knows that his accent will wind us up if he does that. Because he's been so hard on us to get educated that when he fobs it up, like, and I use that term endearingly, Pacific Island people going, what did he just say? Come on, man, our people have stories. Like, when he fobs it up, like, he'll see me with a group of mates, like some of the comedians, and he'll just be like, hey, James, gotta go to KFC, get the food. Like, you have a PhD? Speaking of food, my brother, what food have you brought to the shower today?
Oh, I've brought a classic of me growing up. It's KFC with a big old side of rice.
So, and how did you discover this amazing KFC jasmine rice combo?
I think this is just like the most Filipino thing you could get. I don't know, like one of my big things is like, I don't know if I rep my culture that well. Yeah. But I mean, when it comes to food, I'm very Filipino. Yeah. And I mean, this is as Filipino as it gets, is junk food with a side of rice.
With a side of rice. You got that because of culture.
Yeah.
For the culture.
For the culture.
For the culture. It's cultural.
Yeah. I mean, you go to McDonald's and you won't see chips. You'll see like a side of rice.
In Philippine McDonald's?
Yeah, Filipino McDonald's,
amazing.
KFC. Yeah. So it's like, because it's the ultimate.
Let's get into it, man.
Okay, cool.
That's called Eating Fried Chicken Show. Eat.
Oh, sweet. Just get what I want. Okay, cool. I like that these are in plastic bags. I haven't seen this.
I have to admit, this is West Auckland KFC, so I did have a moment of anxiety drinking the Coke where I thought maybe it had Woodstock in it, but you never know. That's proper West Auckland.
They really taste like budget Coke.
Were you born in the Philippines?
No, I was born in Christchurch.
So you're like me, you're New Zealand born with immigrant parents.
Yeah.
Like, is it fun for you to like have these moments of your culture? Because I take a lot of strength from my Pacific heritage. Yeah, it's like and the sense of community I have here. Is there a big Filipino community in Christchurch? I feel bad. I say that like suspiciously, but actually, like, is there?
There's a really huge population of Filipinos in Christchurch.
Right.
The one thing that really stands out to me when I was a kid was we had the Filipino Society. And it would be like these groups of like this group of Filipinos that would organize all of these social events. And that's kind of how you got to know all the other Filipinos in the group. Yeah, and so cool. you'd go to these events and you'd see the same kids and you'd hang out with them. And that's kind of how I connected with being Filipino a lot, was those events, was hanging out with other people. It wasn't necessarily about learning what it is to be a Filipino, but just hanging out with other Filipinos.
Same thing with Pacific Islanders in the church. Like, you know, so many of my Pacific friends, let alone my Pacific like family, is from growing up in a church, because it was that same community thing. Yeah. We had the same thing as well, where sometimes after church, I remember like we would have these special Filipino masses, and they'd get a Filipino priest in, and then afterwards we'd have a big shared lunch. Yeah, right. And everyone would bring food. And looking back, the family that always impressed everyone else was the one that turned up with a bucket of chicken. Oh man, they're like, yo, they got K-fry. Yeah, what? My parents used to make me do a lot of those social events, because they'd have like little events within because they were always discos. But within that disco, there would be like another event, like maybe there was like a beauty pageant involved. What? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why, but Philippines is really into their beauty pageants. Yeah. And so they'd always have like kids pageants. Yeah. And so my parents used to, like, because I was a naughty kid, they would enter me in these beauty pageants just to kill time. Oh man, all right. Yeah, so. No, it's just great. It's so lovely to have a friend in the shower and then go, oh, this is something we have not talked about this. Oh, really? Really? You never told me, oh yeah, bro, by the way, I used to be a beauty queen. Yeah. No, I'm a participation award winner of the 2004 Little Mr. Philippines event. Little Mr. Philippines? Yeah. Oh, bro, yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, my mum and dad, they like, because they had because karaoke's big in the Philippines as well, and we had a karaoke machine because my mum owned a Filipino restaurant. Wow. So. In Christchurch? Yeah, in Christchurch, in Littleton. Wow. And so she would cater to a lot of the cruise ships, a lot of the crew were Filipino. So she'd make a lot of money. I remember one time when I was really young, she made so much money, she had to walk to the car with plastic bags full of cash because she just raked it in, because those cruise ships, there was just so much business coming through. But then it always balanced the winter because it'd be terrible. Yeah, right. So that was pretty rough. But yeah, so we had the karaoke machine there. So they noticed that I like to sing on it, and so they were like, oh, this is good. Let's give him to the Filipino Society and he can sing some karaoke in front of everyone. So they were making me like sing karaoke in front of like 60 middle-aged Filipino people. That's amazing. Yeah. Look, gig's a gig, mate. Gig's a gig. You know? In hard times, you take the gigs that are in front of you. What was it like growing up with a family with that kind of rhythm? Like, you know, with where it seasonal lows. Like, well, I didn't realize, like, when you're a kid, my parents were really good at not telling me about the hardships that they were going through at the time. But looking back at it now, it's like, ooh, we were struggling. My dad ran into some really bad luck with I don't know what his name is, but this really rich guy got my dad to do the electrical work for one of the yachts in the port, and he was making all the electrical stuff. But he put it all of the costs he did, he put it on his credit card, on my dad's credit card, and they were going to pay it back in advance.
And then on the final testing day, the guy took it for a test straight to Auckland, and then went to Mexico, and no one ever saw him again. Left my dad in like close to $1 million worth of debt.
Holy crap.
And because this was like the bottom rung of the people that this guy had affected, the courts didn't care. So yeah, they ended up having to sell our family home. We ended up having to survive off the restaurant. They bought another house, and I remember in this house, like my mum would tell me, she was like, yeah, she would go to sleep crying at night because of how terrible. Like, we had no ceiling. We just had like a plastic. Oh, jeez. We just had like plastic on top, like the thermal stuff, and that was it. And then I remember like it was the family room here, didn't even have a carpet, it was just straight wood floor. Then the next would be my dad's workshop. There'd just be holes in the floor that would go straight into the foundation. And it was like, at the time when you're a kid, you're like, this is just life, this is how you live.
It's like, and this the kind of, you don't have a cool house like mine? Oh, that's weird.
You don't have sick hide and seek spots?
Exactly.
To do the stuff?
When you're a kid with a kid's imagination, those kind of houses can actually be really kind of like, whoa.
I never understood why I always went to my cousin's house to hang out and not the other way around until I was older. I was like, oh no, we were poor. I remember my dad, when it was on Christmas, he was like, I didn't understand at the time, but he gave me a present. He was just like, I'm sorry, this is all we could give you. But he gave me a pinball toy from the $2 shop. So I was like, this is all you can give me? Oh, man, this is all I want. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My mum said it was a little bit of a blessing because it humbled my dad. Because my dad was a very like, I'm the leader of the house. This is a patriarchy. Follow my word. But then once my mum had it over him to go, you lost my house.
You're not winning a fight for a while after that one.
And because it wasn't even my mum's. It wasn't even like my dad and my mum bought it. So my dad, it was my mum's previous late husband's house.
Right.
And so they had to sell that to clear all of their debt.
Right.
And so that ate up at my dad for about 10 years. Because whenever they had an argument, this is what I heard from my parents, every time they had an argument, my mum would just like, but remember the house?
Oh, man, I mean, that's a ball. Let him win one.
Yeah. But then, and then my dad was like, fine then. And then he built her a house.
He built her a house?
Yeah.
That's a good flex.
Yeah.
Eating fried chicken in the shower. Just as delicious whether you built the shower or not.
What about as a Kiwi bro? How do you feel you fit into New Zealand society?
I think I fit pretty well these days. I feel like when I was a teenager, there were kind of moments where I didn't realize that there was a divide. Like my parents would say certain Tagalog words, and that's just what I thought the English word was.
Yeah.
Because they never said the English word. Like I always thought that saliva and spit was lawai. I thought that's... I was like, I remember there was one time when I was in primary school, I kept saying to my teacher, and I looked really worried, and I said to the teacher, I've forgotten my baton. I don't know what to do. And my teacher's like, what is this baton? And it was like, and then later on they found out, oh, he meant lunch. Because I didn't know that there was baton, like I gotta wait till merienda before I have like my food. Merienda was like afternoon tea. So it's like I didn't know that the term was afternoon tea. It was just what I heard, you know. But
like you've won New Zealand's Billy T. James Comedy Award. You almost represented New Zealand as an athlete.
Yeah.
Did represent? What, like that?
Yeah, a couple of times.
I mean, look at you just waving it. Crying. Which is the most New Zealand thing you could do. Oh yeah, I represented New Zealand a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, you know, it just...
What did you represent New Zealand in, David?
I did. I was an Olympic weightlifter for about 6 years.
So, you know, I feel that's something which your comedy fans might not necessarily be listening to this going, so did he just say he was an Olympic weightlifter for 6 years?
Yeah. It was, I started it when I was a teenager as a joke. because I've always been the drama kid.
Yeah.
So, and they did like this big, I remember they did this big demonstration at an assembly, and I was like, yeah, this could be pretty funny, me lifting weights. So I turned up, and all these rugby boys were around there as well, and I was like, oh, this is definitely a joke. But then after the first training, I was the only one that really turned up to the next training. Everyone else didn't want to do it. You know, they obviously had other sports going on, and the coach was like, my coach at the time was like, oh yeah, you've got talent in this. Before that, I was like the kid that would go to the magic shop after school every day and just annoy the the person who owned the magic shop, be like, show me another trick. Yeah. And then slowly stopped going there, and then started going to the training. And it was great in my formative years because I didn't know how to talk to people. I was like such a weird kid. And the thing I loved about the gym was that it didn't feel like when you're on the platform training, it's serious. You're not making any jokes or anything like that. But when you're off and you're sitting down waiting for your set, you're bantering with everyone else, listening to music. Right. And it was just a really cool environment.
Did you ever go back into the magic shop and just be like, hey, I've got a new trick for you, and then just pick everything up?
Yeah. I wish I did that. I'm pretty sure the owner of the magic shop, I'm pretty sure he came to one of my competitions.
Really?
Yeah, and watched me do some weightlifting. He was really integral for my comedy career because he was the guy that gave me my first gig.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he was friends with all of the buskers in the Christchurch scene, and when the earthquake hit, they had nowhere to perform, so he made a new indoor show called Monday Night Magic, and he saw me because I was doing like a theatre course as well at the time. He saw one of my performances, like, oh, just do that on stage, like give it a shot. Yeah. And I did it, and then he's like, do it again next month when I do another show. And I was like, I've got nothing. He's like, just make something up.
Were you still lifting at the time?
Yeah, I was still lifting as well.
So lifting, theatre, and starting to do comedy as well?
Yeah. All three of those things, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and that's when it all kind of came to a head, and that was definitely, one of the hardest years, I'd say, because I was just starting to get recognition for comedy. Like, people were starting to go, yep, this is really good, this is really funny. I remember I booked like my first gig at the Classic, and on that same day I made a YouTube video that ended up going viral, and I was like, oh, okay, people like me for this now. And at that same time, like at the end of that month, I was going to be competing to try qualify for the qualifier for the Commonwealth Games at the time. So I was having like this buzz about comedy, and then I was having this weightlifting stuff as well, and then just as I got to the qualifier, I shat the bed and broke my ankle trying to qualify.
Just for our international listeners, when you say you shat the bed, that is a turn of phrase.
Yeah.
Because with weightlifting, I feel like we've all seen enough horrific injuries in weightlifting that if you told us, yeah, I've snapped my ankles and shat myself, people would be like, oh, I don't want to see it, but yep, I totally...
Yeah. I know what this guy's known for. Yeah, that sounds very on brand for David.
But you snapped both your ankles? Both?
No, I snapped one of them.
One of them.
I snapped it in the terms of all of the ligaments surrounding my ankle snapped and made the bone drift apart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what 182 kilos will do to your ankle.
Have you been injured before? Like that's a serious injury. That's a big one, right? That's what do we talk? A year off? A month off? Like
that ended my whole weightlifting career.
Career ender.
Yeah. That ended it all.
And is that normal that's a career-ending injury? Like
no, it was. Most people would be like, okay, keep going with it, but. Over that period of time, the Commonwealth Games obviously happened, and my training partner Saxon ended up going to the Commonwealth Games, and just experiencing all of that, and seeing where weightlifting could have taken me, and also combined with where comedy was taking me, I was like, I think I've got to put this aside, and give comedy a really good shot now.
How does your experiences with your family with growing up? Just looking back now, and like with weightlifting and that you had a whole career's journey before you're 21. How does that?
Wow.
Yeah,
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, you know, like you went up, you came down, went up again. You had big moments, low moments, and you're not even 21 yet. How old are you now?
27.
So 6 years later, you did weightlifting for 6 years.
Yeah.
And 6 years later, what can you see from all those experiences that you take into the comedy world?
I am bringing. It took a really long time to figure it out, but I mean, I had such a good work ethic when it came to weightlifting because it was regimented. You just had to turn up on time and just do the work. And I find with comedy, it's the real world. You've got no coach in comedy.
Yeah.
You've got no one telling you need to do this, you need to do that. And I find that comedians have this like the saying of like, you can't teach comedy, it just has to be in, you just have to have it. You're born funny. And so you're like, well, okay, how do I improve? I don't know how. And so I feel like in the last year, it's finally trying to develop that work ethic that I had as an athlete.
Like you talked about how when you're young, you don't really realize you're Filipino. Like you just, you don't even realize that you're Kiwi.
Dude, the first time I got called the N-word, I was 7 years old.
Yo, what? What?
Yep, I was 7 years old.
Wait, I'm just like, again.
But he was Australian, so. It's so weird because everyone put that on me. Because I was the only brown kid. Yeah. So they put anything that was brown. Yeah. They put it on me.
And is that like? Because I know for our listeners overseas who are just like, wait, a Filipino kid in New Zealand got called the M-word. How does that even work? It shouldn't. That's the point.
Yeah.
But like, what happens? What's your brain doing? Like you're 7 years old, so do you even know?
I don't know. I don't know what that word means.
Yeah.
You hear it and you grow up with it and you hear it being said and you just have no idea what it means because you're so removed from it. Yeah. Being from New Zealand, like you don't know what that word means.
Do you think when it means New Zealand? Are you sitting there going, New Zealand? People go, did they call you the M-word? Yeah, I'm from New Zealand.
I remember I pissed off one kid when I was 15. Yeah. And he pushed me, and then he called me, a dirty N-word. And then I told my teacher, and because the teacher came through when they saw me pushing him over and stuff, and be like trying to start a fight. And my teacher was like, why you're physically hurting him? He called you a word. What does that mean? But it's also like, it shouldn't affect me because it's not my. That's not my. That's not my trauma.
Well, I hear, but I've been called it, and I made a show about getting called it and how weird that was. I do think that when we talk about there are words with power, but there's also the malice behind those words. And I think when someone says the M-word to a person of color, even if there's no reason for that person of color and their ethnic background to have anything to do with the M-word, it's the hate and the stripping, the intent of stripping of identity, which I think makes the red mist come down on all of us. Yeah. Because even if that word makes no sense contextually for your experience, you can see what's behind the M-word.
You can see what they're trying to say.
What they're trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was really surreal thinking back and just thinking about how high school there really weren't many other brown kids. Like I remember when I first came to that high school, there was only about 4 Filipino kids out of about 500 students. Yeah. I mean like the only other Asian students I really could remember were the international students, but then even then other second generation. What would I be? A first generation or am I second generation?
Parents from overseas?
Yeah.
I think I don't know the rules.
Yeah, I think I'm first generation. Yeah. There was only a couple of other first generation kids. It wasn't a big thing. Yeah. And it wasn't until I moved up to Auckland that I went, ooh. Right. Ooh, brown people. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to Sydney, I was like, ooh, something's different. What's going on? Oh, there's no brown people. Yeah. Then you try to get into a club and you're like, my lord, brown people.
Yeah. I remember, one thing that I'm kind of thinking about at the moment, in that sense, is I used to only like white girls when I was like growing up.
Oh, real?
And like it wasn't until I got to like my mid-20s and I was like, oh no, there are other cultures and I like this. This is really cool. And so I'm kind of I'm unpacking that now.
Yeah.
At the moment. I mean, I talk about that with one of my mates as well.
Well, what's that about? Like, because I mean, that's sort of a different stereotype that a lot of people might not be aware of, but there is, especially amongst people of color, the idea that men of color are always after white women. Mm-hmm. Like, it's where's your particular mentality come from there?
Yeah, I think it came from like, one was like the cultural divide. I guess when it came to like other Asian kids that I met, was kind of like, oh, they're normally from another country, and so like the cultural differences kind of split us apart. So which just meant that I was surrounded by a lot of white people. Yeah. And all of my friends would always go, oh yeah, this girl's really hot. Oh yeah, man, really like her. And then so you look at that and you're like, okay, so I guess that's what I want to achieve as well. If this is what everyone else is after, this is what I should be after as well.
Right.
And I can't believe I used to say this, but in my head I was always like, oh no, other Filipino girls just remind me of my sisters. So it's like, that was my excuse. Yeah. But then now it's like, oh man, you're just surrounded by a lot of white people growing up.
Eating fried chicken in the shower. Remember, if someone calls you a mean word, they owe you chicken for life.
When did you know? Did anyone tell you were good at comedy? Like, did anyone, like, was there a moment when you're like, I need to leave Christchurch and move to Auckland?
Yeah, you were really? You were one of the people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you were definitely one of the. I mean, the story about you, man, is like, I used to watch you. I mean, I've told you this. I used to watch you on TV when I was a teenager, like on the galas.
I'll be honest. I blocked those memories of those conversations out because they made me feel so old. You say it and I go, oh yeah, no, you have told me that. And I go, but that just makes me, hurts my bones, bro.
Oh no. But it's having moments like that, meeting you and, talk to you and you giving me advice and just seeing like, oh wow, there's a connection to this. And I'm pretty sure when I was first starting out, I asked if you could, like, I was just working on my first kind of like show. Then I remember asking you, hey, can you please just tell someone that I'm doing this? And
I remember that. I think what took me aback when I first met you and I didn't know your story was how fearless you were.
Oh, real?
Like, you just had this air of fearlessness, and I still feel for your audiences, you have an air of fearlessness, and I wonder if that's related to the traumas. That's a very dramatic way of putting the highs and lows of your life that you'd already had a lived experience. You'd seen some shit, bro, and you'd done some shit, and so I couldn't believe how confident and how fearless you were in the stuff you were presenting.
Wow.
Does that sound right to you?
I love it. I love being on stage, and that fearlessness is, I think, just the love of performing and being in it.
Because you do wild stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if people haven't seen, you can find David on YouTube. Your sets are the stuff of legend. Like in the New Zealand comedy, and Edinburgh at Leighton Live, which is a very famous show overseas, is, the people talk about a David Correos set because there's a manic energy to it. And often you're doing things to yourself sometimes. Yeah. Like, what are some examples of that? Well, what are kind of things you do?
I have a bit where I eat a tablespoon of cinnamon, and then I down a liter of milk, and then I eat a whole egg, including the shell, and then I shove a condom up my nose, and then make it come out of my mouth, and I do it in 52 seconds.
When you put it like that, I take back everything I said about your comedy, but but how do you get there creatively?
Okay, I mean, wow, this whole thing's been a lot about high school, but I mean, that's kind of how I made myself stand out in high school was I did all of these little stunts
Yeah.
for like my friends, because that's what I just wanted them to be my friends. I was like, I'll do this weird shit so that they all laugh at me, and I thought laughing at me was a sign that they were my friends. So I'd eat bugs in front of people. I'd eat like just go up to a wall, I'd see a mosquito, and someone would tell me, oh man, you're the guy that eats bugs. Or I remember one time there was a puddle, and everyone was like, David, we'll pay you $5 if you drink this puddle. And so I drank the puddle, and then they didn't pay me. And then they...
Which is the bigger crime.
The worst crime was I didn't realize they all spat in the puddle beforehand. So it was like that. And like, if you wanted me to do something really crazy, like I was the dummy, the crashiest dummy.
Yeah.
You just have to say things like, don't worry, we'll be your friend. Like, if you do this, we'll be your friend. And that was the line that could get me to do anything. One time a kid said that to me, and they managed to convince me to stand in front of a raised gutter of a car park. They ran a trolley, maybe about 20 meters, like full speed, ran it into the elevated part of the gutter, and I was standing here, and it flipped and just slammed me right in the face. And they said to me, do this and we'll be your friend. And I went, oh, nah. It's like, yeah, well, we will. And then I would do it.
I mean, I'm really glad you didn't turn into a serial killer from that behavior. But do you recognize that as abuse?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah, I definitely thought like, oh, I could have easily gone down a different path if I didn't have anyone give me the good old thumbs up.
But is it as simple as that? Like, why? Like, I can generally hear my listeners going like, why?
Yeah,
I think that's what I'm saying. Why?
Yeah, because I just wanted the attention, and I wanted the validation of people going, yeah, he's funny. Oh, he's the crazy guy. We'll get him to do this, and then seeing everyone laugh or enjoying themselves, like, yeah, okay.
If your physical want for validation is manifesting in your childhood as acts of abuse, how does your relationship to an audience as a professional comedian, where that comedy is based on those interactions, like how does that relationship work then?
It's kind of why I'm trying to dig deeper for different material, because 2 years ago I feel like I hit the peak of that. I hit the peak of the crazy stuff, of the wild stunts, and then it just got to a point where I was like, I don't know how to top this.
Right.
And I started finding myself writing bits to write to that voice, even though I didn't feel the need to really want to do this.
Right.
To do this thing. So that's when I was like, oh, I think this is dangerous. I think I'm now getting to the point where I'm feeding into what I think they want. Then no one's telling me to do this thing. It's in my own head. I'm like, well, if they like this, I've got to take it to the extreme. Yeah. And then I bring it to my little head, and then I come up with something more intense. And it's also a lot of the stunts that I did, it was stuff that I did when I was a teenager. Like eating the whole raw. I'd done that before. Yeah. I knew that I could shove a con up my nose, I knew I could do that. Just little things when you're bored as a teenager, stuck in your room. Yeah. Experimenting.
Honestly, bro, I think most of us just like read comic books and wanked. I don't know. I honestly, like, I don't know if all of us were shoving condoms up our noses. So you've been to Edinburgh twice?
3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. You went once with a double-up show, and you've done 2 solos.
Yeah.
And I know that, like I said, you've done great in late and live there, and you're renowned for late night spots there.
That was fun.
Yeah. So tell me about Edinburgh. Tell me about being a kid from Christchurch who's not even getting into doing comedy, and suddenly you're getting like 4-star reviews. Yeah, in the world's biggest arts fest.
It was incredible, and I don't think I would have never imagined doing the Edinburgh Fringe. One, because I didn't know it existed.
It's a key factor.
I didn't know it existed, and I didn't know how big it was. And so when Richard Carrington was telling me, hey, we should go do Edinburgh, do this. I was like, okay, sweet. And he also said to me, by the way, there's no way for me to prep you for Edinburgh. You're just going to go through it, just experience it. That's what you're going to feel. And I remember, again, some older comics were telling me, that giving me advice, and like the first year, just enjoy it, have fun, party, do it all, save the hard slog for the next year. And so I was like, okay, sweet, that sounds good. Okay, that's cool. And so doing the double act, the double header was kind of that year. And then the second year, I brought my my own solo show to it. And yeah, that show was wild.
Yeah, you're eating a raw egg every night.
Yeah, I was doing some really, it was such a crazy show. The whole idea of it was I wanted to go from like 1 to 10 in the space of an hour with intensity. Yeah. And it ended with me shoving a bike pump up my butt. Okay. Pumping it and then farting into the microphone, which tied in to a story I told at the start. Okay. So it was all justified.
Yeah, it's a theme. Look, whatever you need to do to get through Edinburgh, that's what we always say, bro. Like, most people do that at home, but you've taken it on step.
You find it.
You find your funny. But what's that like when you is that, because that's a memorable bit.
Yeah.
Like if you go and see a show where someone shoves a bike pump up their ass at the finish.
Yeah.
Pumps full of air, I assume, and then farts the air out.
And the worst part was, or the best part was, I'd tell people this, and people that went to the show, they were like, that wasn't even the worst thing you did.
What's the worst thing you did?
Oh, there was some bad bits in there.
What was in there?
There was one bit where I would talk to the audience and I'd get them to tell me a song that had meaning to them.
Seems safe.
And we'd be like, okay. And they'd tell us the story behind the song. And then I would play the song. I'd pull out some cat food. I'd start eating the cat food in front of the person's face while screaming at them, this is your new memory.
Okay.
And that's the whole bit.
Yeah.
The reason why I had a good year was because Zoe Lyon saw me, and then after my show went to a comedian's bar and just told everyone about this wild show. And everyone else came to my show, and I had some incredible comedians came to my show. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And it's because they were all like, no one's doing this. Yeah. I've never seen this done before. So they all came, and then I feel like I just disappointed everyone when the next year I tried to showcase a new style, which was just stand up. And everyone that enjoyed me from the year before, they came to this and they were like, what is this, bro? Yeah. Everyone else is doing this. Right. Why are you trying to be like everyone else? Just be yourself. Be who you are. Yeah. And
because that's who they decided that you were.
Yeah. Because I'd never taken a show to Edinburgh before where I did stand-up. And because normally in New Zealand, it's 15 minutes of stand-up and then 5 minutes of weird stuff. Yeah. But I was like, in Edinburgh, I was like, I've got to make a bang. I'm just going to do the weird stuff. Yeah. And yeah, so then the second year when people came, they were very disappointed. People were very disappointed.
And what's that like for someone who wants validation so hard? To go validation, they're like, no. Bike pump, no.
Yeah,
no more bike pump.
It's terrible. Yeah. It's the worst feeling, and I look back at it now, and I was
the worst feeling.
No, okay, it's not the worst.
no, it's just that's feeling. Really interesting that's the language you use. That's the word. Like considering everything you've told me today, people in Edinburgh being disappointed is the word. Like you're saying, it's the worst feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll stand by that.
Yeah, fair call,
I'll stand by that. Yep. Disappointing someone is seeing someone going, oh, that's not it. Is the, if you look back at it, why else did I do all the weird stuff? It's because I wanted them to be like, good job. Yeah. You did good. Good job. And I mean, just reading the reviews that I got, just taking them personally, and also earlier on that year, or the year beforehand, in that crazy show, I was downing a bottle of red wine in the space of the first 20 minutes of the show. Right. So I was blasted by that.
And not fake red wine.
No, real red wine. And people were watching me down it, and they were just like, and it's kind of funny because it's like, it's the wheels falling off the bus. And it fed into that show.
There's a narrative reason for you, like when you're trying to go to 1 to 10. So you start and you get drunk, and then you go boom, and they're like, whoa, we're in a car crash.
So that's it. But then I applied that to the stand-up. Right. And I was downing like 2 glasses of big red wine before, one before the show and then one during the show. Yeah. And I was just losing people because I didn't realize now it's about rhythm. Now it's about what you're saying and your craft. And it just went all out the window because I was drunk and I didn't have control. And so...
How many nights were you drunk on stage?
I think it was more easy. It would be more easier for me to go. I think I had 5 nights sober.
Right.
Yeah, of that show.
Right.
I performed that show maybe sober 5 times. And by that point, it was way too late in the season, and it affected my ticket sales, and no one was wanting to come. And the reviews had already come in. I got 2 1-star reviews and 1 2-star review for that show. And in New Zealand, people loved the show because they were championing like me doing a new style, and I wasn't drunk. I wasn't doing it drunk. So it just went from strength to strength.
Why were you doing it drunk in Edinburgh then, compared to New Zealand?
Because I got scared.
Right.
I was really scared of people not enjoying it. I was scared of the flyering. I don't like flyering, so I was like, I'll do it drunk.
Right. A bold move.
Yeah.
But very important for our listeners, not a unique move.
Yes, no. I've seen other people do it. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'll do it. And it did make me feel better. But then by the time I was on stage, I was like, oh no, I'm drunk. This isn't.
Yeah.
And then I get to like the 20-minute mark and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I think I hit the peak 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And now it's only going downhill from here.
Yeah.
And that was my second year in comedy. And I had one review, the biggest reviewer in Scotland came to my show. And that was this show where no one was really laughing. It was the breaking point, and I stopped halfway through the show and I went, this isn't me. Why am I doing this? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you're here. I'm so sorry I brought this here. Don't worry. Next year, I'm gonna bring something back that I really love. And then someone started to try applause break me, and I went, shut the fuck up. This is not one of those moments.
I mean, comedy is tragedy plus time. But, yo.
And then I proceeded to do another 2 minutes and bombed. And then I was like, and that's the end of the show. See you later. And I finished at like half an hour. And you know what the best part is? I recorded every set, so I have the audio of that.
Wow.
I still haven't had the balls to listen back to it.
You still haven't listened to it?
No, I still haven't listened to it.
Do you think you will?
Yeah, I think so.
And just to put it in perspective, just so our audience can really understand the semi-insanity of an artist mentality. Because artists aren't special. We're not magical or anything.
No.
We're just wired in a different way.
Yeah, yeah.
So, my dear friend, who I love dearly, what would you rather have? A trolley smashed into your face, separating your lip from your teeth, or a 1-star review?
Oh, I've never been given a would you rather where it's exact 50-50. Wow.
This is the Edinburgh Survivors version of It's in the Bag.
Yeah.
What's it going to be, Christchurch? The trolley or the star?
Like, I don't know. They both hurt.
Do you have rhythms in place? Have you talk about training, talk about discipline. Have you got healing rhythms in place for yourself now?
No, I don't. I don't know what I should do.
Thanks for coming in, David.
Yeah.
But is that something you think about?
Yeah, because I mean, I've witnessed depression now, and like from people close to me, and after seeing that, it's done that thing to me where I go, my problems aren't actually that bad.
Ah, right, but that can also be a
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what we can do, bro. We are eating fried chicken in the shower, have access to people and places and networks.
Yeah.
So, if you want to talk to someone about healing rhythms, not like in crystals, but if you want to talk about best practice, training, things you can do.
Yeah.
We can find someone there.
Yeah, I would really love that. I think. Yeah, after this. I mean, this is weird. Yeah, it's very genuine right now. But yeah, I'd really like to look into that.
That's absolutely fine, bro. If you and me after all this time can't be genuine in a shower with fried chicken, I just don't know where we can be genuine.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, we got you. We got you. We ask everyone who comes into the shower same question, which is there anything you would like to share in the shower before you go?
Oh, I just want to share a thank you to you personally.
Oh.
You've really been like an older brother to me.
Oh, fuck.
During my whole career, and I feel like at the start meeting you, just you sitting down and bonding over our dads was really something I'll never forget. And the way you helped me through Edinburgh, I feel you had no reason to do that. You took me out for a haircut and breakfast. And you took us to a dope barber.
We went to the sickest barber who was called Headcase.
Yeah. And
like,
McGiddy Fades was the guy.
Yeah, it's like a Brazilian dude and a guy from Mexico who was definitely escaping from the law.
Yeah. Just trying to live, an honest, hard working life now.
What you used to do before? I don't like to talk about that, brother, but we'll get you that fade going on.
It was just so tailored to what I wanted and needed at the time. And I didn't even know I needed it.
Man, sometimes you need chicken in the shower. Sometimes you need hot cakes and a fresh fade.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're teaching me this stuff, because I can only think of like passing it. Like, when new comics are coming through, I try to do the same thing that other comics did for me.
One day you're going to have a kid from Guam who'll be sitting at a table with you talking about how they got called the N-word when they were 5, and you'll be like, yo, I feel this. Sit down, we're going to get haircuts. David Correos, thanks for coming and sharing some KFC and jasmine rice with me, bro.
Thank you so much for this, James Nokise. This is this has been fantastic.
Perfect. Eating Fried Chicken in the Shower was produced for RNZ by Charlie Bleakley and Fruit and Nuts Limited, and presented by me, James Nokise. The engineer was Blair Stagpool. The executive producers for RNZ were Justin Gregory and Tim Watkin. Subscribe to our podcast however you just found this podcast. Or, if you're listening on the radio, go to RNZ's podcast page and look for the chicken. And when you rate us, only give us 5 stars. Remember, more stars, more chicken. And if you want to share your safe space or comfort food, tweet me at James Nokise. If you need support, text 1737. Or for more resources on mental health, check the Fried Chicken webpage at rnz.co.nz. If you're experiencing COVID-19 related mental health issues, go to health.govt.nz and search for COVID-19 mental health and wellbeing resources. We'll also link to it on the RNZ page. Faftailafa, matewa.